With regards to the Tama talk, he wanted to rejoice in the food patrons offering today. What he wanted to leave us with regards to the wisdom talk is he wanted to talk about a story first, which is two birds. And he's going to compare the lives of these two birds. One is a blackbird and the other is a bird that is caged. And the difference is the blackbird has its freedom and can fly around, get its own food. The caged bird, but even though the blackbird has freedom, he's got to like survive on his own, trying to find food for the day. Now the caged bird lives within the cage and gets fed and is very comfortable, but he has no freedom, but his life is very easy. So one day the blackbird and the caged bird meet each other and they start to compare each other's lives. The blackbird starts to feel jealous that he wants to live the life of a caged bird because, you know, he's tired of having to find his own food and having to survive. And of course, the caged bird sees the blackbird and wants to have its freedom too and wishes that it could be outside, flying around in the sky. So they both compare each other's lives and they both decide that they have something that they want from one another. So they decide to switch. So they switch their lives. And what happens is it's not what they think it is. So when they switch their lives, the caged bird ends up getting its freedom. However, it can't survive. It has never found its own food before. So the caged bird ends up dying. Well, the blackbird, who's now a caged bird, ends up that the owner sees that this is not my bird, so doesn't feed it. So in the end, the blackbird dies as well. So they both end up dying. Now, what is the moral of the story? The moral of the story is that you can't compare your life to other people and that sometimes what you think you want isn't really what you want and it's only going to create suffering, vice versa. We always have to look at things on both sides. That you know, say for example, you see someone and they seem very happy, but you don't really know the full story. You only see the side that you see, and you forget that everything has two sides, that they might be very happy or seem happy, but maybe they're actually not. So the most important thing is not to compare our lives with other people, and that's how we find happiness. And that when you start to compare yourself with other people, that's when suffering actually happens. That you have to kind of look at the bigger picture. The Venerable was talking about sometimes, for example, let's say that there's a homeless person who only was able to get $20, get some food, and then is sharing it with his friends, and he's happy. He's homeless, but yet he's very happy and content. And then you have someone who has a lot more money, maybe like spends $100 on his dish, but he's sitting alone. So who's actually happier? We don't really know, but the bottom line is whoever's content and happy and just has more joy in their life. So inner happiness, when it really comes down to it, is the most important thing. Everything else is fairly impermanent and can change in an instant. So always looking at the bigger picture, that even though things that might appear one way, you don't always know the full picture. And that someone who seems like they have everything, maybe when it comes to what's going on inside, they're just very hollow. So we just don't know. What's the most important is the mind, and that's where joy and happiness sits. So it's important for us to know this and to do what is most valuable for our life, which is to find that inner happiness, which we can only do through meditation. Anything else outside of that is not within your control. And in order to find inner happiness, and once we find it through meditation, that's when we actually find true contentment. The Venerable mentioned that when it comes to what the Buddha taught, is that even a millisecond, a couple seconds, a minute of inner peace for the mind will bring so much joy into your life and into your mind. And he also wanted to leave us with the fact that being in the middle is the most important. So someone who meditates, it's going to be easy for them to not be so attached. And what we're actually moving towards is equanimity, learning how to just be in the middle, not let things affect us. So if there's two extremes, one being hot and one being cold, we're in the middle. We're staying in the middle lane where it's warm. And that is a goal of meditation. So this is the Venerable Noy talk today.